Okay, let's nest this part and set some user layers to it. User layers are up here, and we're going to create a new layer. We'll name that holes, and we're going to edit the color of it so we can identify them easily at a glance. Pick any color you want. Click it active. Okay and okay. Now that means that the active means that anything I'm doing right now is in that layer. So if I draw a line, anywhere on here, even though it's named holes, it's going to come in as that layer of holes. But right now we're just going to change these. So I'll pick the change icon. We're going to change them from the geometry, because that's what we drew this all in just regular geometry. We didn't have them layered. We're going to change that to the active user layer. And the active user layer is, we'll go to our layers here, is anything that has an asterisk by it. That means that that layer is active, so anything we do until we change that will be done in that layer. You can also see that up here, that there's a check mark that shows that this layer is active. So you would have to go back to change from geometry to active, and we'll just select all those holes. You can individually select, or you can select them all. Right click, and that changed them to those holes. Now let's go do another new layer, and I'm going to call the perimeter the body. That's just a preference. You can identify all your geometries by whatever you want, and I'll keep them green. Active, okay. And now all I've done is layered. I've named a layer. Now I have to go back to change that layer, because we didn't draw in that layer to start with. And over here in the user layers, you can see that when I created that new layer and it made it active, now I can right click on here and just deactivate it at that point. Now anything I draw will just be in a geometry, and you can turn those off and on also. So let's draw us a sheet we're going to nest this into. And I'm going to go 4x8. So again, down here we've got 0, 0. That's the corner of my sheet. That's where the router identifies it off X and Y. And 96 by 48. Right click. Now I'm going to go move this part, and then I'm going to right click and then just pick a point to grab it from, slide it outside of my sheet. Now I'm going to nest, and there again you can pull all these down from your pull down menus. I'm just used to using the icons. We're going to nest parts. I'm going to go manual. We'll do the true shape here in just a minute. And we're selecting the parts from the screen, and we'll just have geometries. There are no toolpaths yet. I'm going to use a 1/2 inch router bit, and we'll keep this about 1/8 of an inch from the edge of the sheet. Now I can select my part. I can put a box clear around it, or I can just actually select on the outer line. That will grab everything that's inside of that line. And then you can just pull it into the corner, wherever you want to pull it into. And then this kind of, you can't see it because of the video is taken that way, that little rubber band kind of a line there, stretchy line. But I just know that when I pull that in and over, that X shows that's the center of the part, and I'm pulling it down into the corner. I'll right click and get rid of that. Now it changed my sheet changed that geometry into material, and you can just leave it if you want, or you can delete it and redraw back in the geometry. I'm going to get rid of these numbers. These numbers just indicate that this is the first part of the nest. If I had 5 parts over here, each one of those parts would have the number. If I was doing 3 of these and 2 of the next one and 3 of the next one, it would indicate that I've got part number 1, part number 2, part number 3. And I'm going to go ahead and delete that part out of there because we don't need it anymore. And I do like to go ahead and get rid of these, and I'll just draw my sheet back in again. Now I'll slide this over. Oops, what went wrong there? I guess when I used my mouse to scroll that over, it didn't like it. So I'll just zoom it over, give me some room here. And we're going to pick a 1/2" tool, drop it, just click and drop it anywhere on the screen. We're going to go, these are open geometries. That would mean any straight line that doesn't come back around and connect to itself. All of these are closed geometries because the holes and the squares all make a complete connected geometry. So I want to go, let's back up. Well, no, we'll just go ahead this way. I want to go around the outside counterclockwise of this and this one and this one. You notice those arrows were down here. That was showing the start point of that part. I can go up here to the start point icon, and I can actually pick it F6. I want it to start at the end of there. Oh, and I want this one to start maybe at the end of there. You can pick whatever start point you want based on how you think the sheet is going to hold down on the router. Now we'll go to rough and finish. These are just kind of 1, 2, 3 right in the order you're going to take them. Vertical routing and selected. Tool center. And we'll call this 1/4" material. The rapid down, the safe rapid levels. You just make sure that those are above your material. We're going to go all the way through. Final depth is 0. That's the bottom of my sheet. We'll do this in one pass. And the feeds and speeds are preset for me. And then we'll just click on those parts. And then right click, and there's our tool path. And you can see here is where I had the end of, that's the starting point on that one. And down here it is too. It already defaulted to that. The only one I really changed was this first one. So now, just to save confusion, I go over here to tool paths, and I just shut off my tool paths. And I'm going to shut off the body of those parts. Now we're going to go back and pick another tool. I'm going to use a spiral up 1/4" bit, because those were 1/2" holes. I could have used the 1/2" bit on them. I'll click to drop that bit. I want to go around the inside clockwise of all of those holes. There again, you can pick them individually or just a box around all of them. Close, rough and finish. Still want vertical sides. Tool center. Material top is the same. Still going all the way through. We'll do it in one cut. And we can speed this up to about 60 inches per minute. Down feed. Run all the circles. Right click. And the geometry turns white whenever you put a tool path to it. If it doesn't turn white, then for some reason the tool is not actually seeing clear to that line. Now I can turn my body back on, turn the tool paths back on, and there's the part ready to tool path. Except I want to route the holes first and then the body last, and I messed up by tool pathing in the wrong order. I can come down here to the operations. That's why in view you show your the project manager page. You want your layers and your operations and I keep my simulation turned on also. Those are the three windows down here. There's the layers and operations. Now, the first operation I have here, if I turn that off, you can see over here it turns that toolpath off. Well, I want to do that path second, and I want to do this one first. So I'll just click on it, and then these arrows here, I can move those up or down in the order that I want them to be routed. Now we'll come down here at the bottom. I always like to run a simulation, so we'll come down here to this set materials, and it's asking me to pick the geometry or the solid. Well, I'm routing it out of this full sheet, and it was a 1/4 inch sheet. The bottom is 0. Now it's still asking me to pick another material. I don't have any more to pick, so I'm just going to right click and escape that. Then come over to the solid simulation. There's simulation and solid simulation. We want to do the solid, and I usually go to a 3D view to roll that around so I can see a little better. Straight on, I don't really get to see exactly what everything's doing. And then we just play. And this slider bar here, you can speed that up or slow it down if you really want to see the detail that it's going in. And it's just moving across the top of the sheet there, going to its next hole. If you're doing any kind of detailed work or something, you want to see exactly what's happening, would be the only reason to slow it down. Otherwise, you can just speed it up, let it move its way around there. Now it's all done, so we can just roll it around and zoom in, make sure that everything got cut clear through. Here you can see a little bit of shadowing. That's on the transparency. Here, I usually have that turned up like that. But if you have any inside detail that you want to see, if you want to look in through the side of that hole to see how deep it was going, you can make that transparent more so, and zoom in to see that, well, this hole's actually going all the way through, but if it stopped, you would see the bottom of that hole in relationship to the side view. And we'll shut the 3D off. We'll close the solid simulation. And this line now is white because it sees it as material, which won't affect anything in your routing process. I usually just go back through and undo that last step that I changed that as. And then we can save this. File, save as, and this is, we'll call this number 1 nesting. Save it, and we're done.